Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch. Today we're looking at something very interesting. Now, the other day I did a video about UPBGE. This is a spiritual successor to the Blender game engine, removed from Blender back in like 2018. It's been a very long time, and they've basically kept it alive. What this enables you to do is create games entirely inside of Blender. If you want, go ahead and check that one out. It just had a pretty major update. But in the comments for that, someone said, have you ever heard of this? The folded paper engine? And the answer is no, I hadn't, but now I have, and today I'm going to show you what the folded paper engine is all about. This one's a little confusing at first to understand why the hell would you want this, but what it enables you to do is author your games basically entirely inside of Blender, and then use Godot as a runtime. So then you could compile them for the web, etc. So you can actually see a demo of that in action. This was a game created, or an experience created entirely inside of Blender. Like everything you see here, authored in Blender, but then you export it out to Godot using a simple runtime, and then you could make this into an iOS app, a web app, like you can see here, and so on. So here you can see an example of it in action. This is actually, again, built in two parts. On the one hand, you have the Blender portions. On the other hand, you have the Godot portions. You're going to see if the downloads, there is a zip file for Blender, which is a plugin for the Blender application, and then there is an add-on for Godot. And I'm going to show you how you can use all of this together to create game experiences almost entirely in Blender. So let's jump in and take a look. So we're going to start things off with Blender, I suppose. So come on back here. I'm going to use Blender 4.4. I tried Blender 5, and for some reason was not a great experience. So I went back to 4.4. It does require 4.4 or higher. Let me just go back here and make that not full screen. All right, here we go. So here is a simple world. Now, I've already installed it, but if you want to go ahead and add this zip, you download that zip file, and then basically come on in here to add-ons, go over here, say install from disk, find your zip file, and then it will show up as the folded paper engine. After you do that, restart Blender once, just to be sure. So once that is done, if you hit N, you're going to notice new tab. Item tab, and then the folded paper engine tab. So these are the two critical parts of creating, let's call it your game inside of Blender. So what I'm going to do here is we've got a simple setup. So this, we're going to make this guy our character in the world. Very simple. So let's go ahead, just, I don't know, we'll make it orange like so. So there is our cube in the world. We're not even going to sacrifice the default cube. So we're going to go ahead. So with that selected, there, move it up a little bit like so. And now we're going to create something else in our world, just basically a ground plane. So come in here and go ahead and create a plane. Let's scale it up tenfold like so. Once again, let's give that guy material, make it like just a light green like so. All right, so here is our primary, here is our ground. What I'm gonna do is rename this to ground, but the important part is this last part, -call. That is a built-in thing. When you export something out to Godot with the prefix collision, it will automatically make a collision map for it. So that'll make our static mesh that our world is going to collide on, and then this guy is going to be our character. In order to turn that into a character, all we do is hit N, come in here to the Items tab, and make it a player. That's it. We have now created the most basics of games that you could imagine. And the next part is you're going to export it out. Now, before I export it out, I need to have somewhere to export it to, and that is where the Godot side kicks in. So let's go back here to our downloads folder, and we're going to fire up. This is Godot 4.5.1. This is the newest version of Godot, and all we're going to do is basically create a new project here. So let's go ahead and create this. We're going to create this in our downloads folder. So here, downloads like so. Select current folder, and we'll call this demo. All right, there we go. None of that stuff. All right, here. So go ahead and create that. And now what you're going to do is install the plugin. The easiest way to do that is basically to download it. So like it's available here. So you have the folded paper engine _ Blender and Godot. Go to the Godot one, grab the add-ons folder, copy that, and then go into your newly created project like so, and paste that in. That's it. And then what you do is quickly go back here. It will import all that stuff in. They recommend a restart. I'm not sure if this is needed anymore, but let's just do it to be sure. So we're going to quit back to the project list, and then we're going to load back in. So now we have our add-on installed. All we need to do now is enable it. So project settings, like so, plugins, and then turn folded paper engine on. And now we are good to go. So the amount of setup you need to do in your world is pathetically easy. First, you're going to want to create a world environment, and then you're going to want to import in your GLB file. So we're going to create a 3D scene like so. We'll just go ahead here and then add that environment to the scene. So there is our default world environment like so. We don't want glow on, but we do want sign distance field global illumination. And I'm going to change the tone mapping out to AGX. All right, so there we go. We have a very simple world environment. Let's save our scene like so. And now the magic part. Think of this as like a runtime or a player for the paper engine. Just come in here, folded paper engine, create a node like that, inherited to your node 3D like so. And it needs two things. It needs a GLB file and the world environment. We created the world environment, so we're done that one. Now let's get a GLB file in here. So we're gonna go back over here to Blender, and now the export portion. And this entire process actually works using just stock GLTF or GLB exports. Nothing more than that, but there is a setup here. What you do is basically pick it. So let's pick our destination. So we go into demo. We'll keep it called untitled.glb. But what we need to do, so we're going to remember this so we don't have to change this every single time, is come down here to include and include these three values there. The biggest one here is the custom properties. You want to make sure that that is included. And actually, I want to set my camera up before. So camera to view, let's just, there we go. Camera set up. Go to view of the camera. And then we'll just, there. All right, so there, our camera is pointed where we want it to be. Let's go ahead again, export one last time. So every time you make a change, you basically just create it again, re-export it, and it overwrites. Again, that's why you want to make sure that you save those settings. Otherwise, you're going to forget every time, and then nothing is going to happen. So now we're going to head on back over to the world of Godot, and let's come in here. So here is our path. Let's go ahead and pick that guy. So that is our level. Our world environment is set up, and let's go ahead and run this. So we'll go ahead, yep, select current, and then boom. There is your guy in the world and running around. Now you may notice it is awfully bright. Well, that is because it's pulling in the light from the Blender side of things, this light right here, and it's setting. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of that because we've got the global illumination going on. So let's go ahead one more time. We just make our quick change, export that out, come back over here, it will import it back in, and we run it. And then boom, now we are laughing. And there's your simple game in the world. Your player has controls set up for it. So let's make this a little bit more interesting. So far we don't really have a lot of exciting things to do. Let's go ahead and get some other stuff into this world. So let's add something in, like a 3D model into the world. So let's import that in. This is just something random I grabbed off of Fab. So let's bring that in. So you can see how you would set your levels up just like normal. So there's nothing really magic going on here. Let's just move that guy over there. Move it this way, a little bit off the world, and scale that up just a little bit more again. And then, all right, yeah, that should do it. And then let's just bring that guy in over there and up. All right, there we go. So it's in the world. We're going to do the same thing we did before. So we want to make sure that this gets collisions. All right, there we go. So there we have something in the world, and then we have our character. So we got our character over here. How do these things actually get set up and dealt with? Well, let's go back to our character. With our character selected, you're going to notice here in the items, we've got a number of different things we could do with it. So we could actually say here, so far we've been working in a third-person view, but let's say we want to switch this to a first person. What we're going to do is make it invisible, so when we export this out, we'll no longer see that. And then we're going to come down here to the folded paper engine settings and player controls, and we're going to say, okay, make this a first-person controller instead. And then now we got this new update. We got a model in the world. Let's go ahead and export that one out. So once again, boom, updated the world. Here we go. And then we head back over to Godot. Now there's a lot more mesh data coming in, so this update is going to take a little bit longer because it's pulling in that 3D file on top of everything else. But otherwise, there's no real special work to do here. Again, the vast majority of work is being done over on the Blender side of things, and then this add-on just kind of handles everything else for you. So boom, it's brought in. Let's go ahead and run that now. So here we see our runtime, the boom. So now we're in a first-person view. And it's got settings, so there is a jump right there, really mild jump though, so I can climb up here. But let's say I wanted that jump to be a little bit more effectual. So I could come back here, once again, we stop our project, we head back on over here, and you're gonna notice under player controls, so there is what we've been working with so far. Let's instead go to character, and here you can see jump modifier, and let's make that a 5 instead of a 1. So now we're going to jump a whole lot more. And again, it's set up, ready to go. Let's say we're going to do, here, let's make our world a little bit more interesting by adding a second character into it as well. That is all we're going to change. Once again, we go back over here, we export that one out, and now we head back over to Godot once again. And Godot, again, is mostly just acting as a runtime player, while all of your game logic is actually being handled by the Blender side of things. Again, everything is being encoded into that GLTF file, which is being interpreted and loaded by this folded paper engine node here. So this is really all your quote-unquote game actually consists of. But you could compile this for whatever platform you wanted, and you're good to go. Again, you are making all of, basically you're just turning Godot into a runtime, though. That is the only functionality it has here. So there we see first-person view, and now my jump, though, is substantially higher. So now I can jump like a madman. So boom, and over, and then there is our world, and then boom, I missed, I fell, and I'm going to fall infinitely. So that is kind of how you set up your game world. Now you're going to wonder, okay, well, how does your game logic kick in? Well, we've seen the player character controllers. So you see over here, I can turn it first person or third person view over there. So generally, again, first person selected. We also have basically anything that comes in. You could add an object with physics. So for example, if I wanted to add in a monkey mesh like so, and then just move that up in the world like this. And let's move it over this way like so. Anything I come in, I just kind of give it a tag. I'm going to make this one a character that has physics like so. And then I come in here for physics. I give it a mass like so. So now we've added an object into the world. Once again, you know this part. So again, the super critical part here is remember your export settings, because if these are not set, nothing is going to happen. You're going to load into a blank screen, and you're going to be wondering what the hell just happened. So make sure you've done that. So again, we've updated our world. We now have an object with physics. It should automatically fall when our world starts. Let's see if that works out right. So again, imports it in. Got something new to process. It's going to take just the slightest bit longer, but again, it's not too bad. And then once that is done, we go ahead and run that. And then boom, here's our game world. And there is an object with physics, bounce, and then blunk into the world. And yeah, that's kind of how things are set up and configured that way. Now there's a bit more to it, so obviously you're going to want to have things happen. So if you want to have, when you start things up, you can set a sky background color, or here, you can actually set up music. So you can set a music file to play as the background. You can set up the strength of the gravity in the world, and then you can have an event fire when the scene actually loads up. Scene events are defined here. We can create a new event right there, and then here are a number of things that you can have happen during event. So you can do things like play an animation, play a song or a sound effect or something to that, load a completely different scene or a level, load up a sub-scene. You can have conversations, a variety of different conversations, which can be defined over on the Godot side of things. So if you have people to talk to, you can set up conversations that way. You can also set triggers in your world. A trigger can be set from a number of different reasons: entering, exiting, holding, releasing, and so on. So those can then in turn fire events as well. You have inventory systems here as well. You can create various different things. Speakers are audio files that play in the world. You can do a UI setup. You saw that simple game menu start earlier on. And then again, you got the ability to set up sub-scenes. And that is kind of it. So again, it's not super advanced control. This is more about making a Blender type file playable. And instead of having to use Blender Game Engine, what you're doing is processing it through Godot. And then again, the cool thing about that is you're now going to be able to take this experience that you created out and make it into any kind of project that Godot can build for. Again, the downside here, and the biggest downside to this entire solution, is when you're in Godot, there is nothing. So literally, Godot is being turned into more or less just a runtime here. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the folded paper engine. The entire idea basically is you author game experiences, simple experiences for sure, inside of Blender entirely, export them over to Godot, and then run them. Essentially. There is also a Godot API where you can extend things and hook things up and integrate things a little bit better if you want. There is also full documentation on all of the various different pieces for both Godot and for Blender side of things. So there is documentation on each one of these things. You can head into the guide and you'll find out details of, say, if you want to use conversations, how you set and use conversations up, how to set up the player, the camera, and so on. It's all documented here as well. By the way, this is an open source project. It is under the MIT license. If you like what they're doing here, drop them a star. It's a fairly young project going on. It's a really one-of-a-kind thing. And again, it's only going to appeal to a certain group of people because you are going to be the type of person that wants to do your logic in your game mostly inside of Blender. But if that's what you want to do and you don't want to use the Blender game engine, this is an option, and it's an interesting one. So basically, you can make programmatic Blender experiences that you export out and run through and compile into an executable or a website or whatever using the Godot game engine. So yeah, open source project as well. By the way, the model we used, I just downloaded it off Fab. You can use any kind of asset you bring out of Blender, will work just fine. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is the folded paper engine. Kind of a difficult one to explain, but an interesting one in my opinion. Again, very niche, but it's kind of like a Blender game engine using Godot as the runtime. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.